Hello there, my YouTube chums. Today you'll find me playing ARMS, developed and published by Nintendo for their Switch console. This is a joyous arena fighter, where one plays with extendable arms, hence the title, to try to better one's opponent. Here I am as Springman, and my current opponent is Mechanica. I'm playing in Grand Prix mode. Oh no, someone seems to have set the difficulty on easy. No, oh well, too late to reset now. I must say, this game is enormous fun, and takes me back to my own boxing days at school. Every Thursday, throughout our time in the lower sixth, we boys would meet up in the gymnasium to talk tactics, train and spar. The Fortescue School for boys has a proud tradition and history in schoolboy boxing circles, having been regional champions twice and national champions in my grandfather's day. In fact, it was my grandfather himself, Bibbity Fortescue, who first won the coveted Gilded Gloves. He was known as Footloose Fortescue on account of his legendary futtle movements. His gilded, framed portrait, along with his famous saying, "Hover like a bluebottle, sting like a hedge nettle," still adorns the gymnasium wall. In recent years, however, the Gilded Gloves had been lost to the Fortescue School for girls, and the pressure was on to regain our reputation. Fortunately, our coach was none other than our sports and science master, Malty Milburn, a man for whom boxing was in the blood. Rumour has it that Malty once boxed his way out of a box hedge maze. I'll never forget his advice to us in that first proper training session. "Now, there are 3 golden rules when it comes to the gentleman's dance-off, boys. Follow these rules and you can't go far wrong. 1. As soon as you're in the ring, start prancing about." "Prancing, sir?" "Yes, Norris, prancing. The prance is what made Bobbity's grandfather the fighter he was. The thing about the prance, see, is this. The opponent won't expect it. He'll be waiting for a bit of intimidation, a bit of a hard stare, and maybe the suggestion of a strut. But a prance is special. It's off-putting. It's confusing. It's weird. Start immediately with one full prance around the ring. But be careful, as a prance can easily turn into a frolic, and that will turn you into a figure of fun. Under no circumstances do you want to get a nickname like Frolicking Fortescue, for instance, or worse still, Frolicking Norris." Malty paused a moment to let the gravity of this pitfall sink in, and for us to consider exactly how Frolicking Norris was so much worse than Frolicking Fortescue. Eventually, Malty continued. 2. Nod and laugh at your counterpart. "Is this wild prancing, sir?" "Don't be daft, Norris. You stop, look your rival up and down. Give a lengthy blink, a short squint, a nod, a laugh, and then resume prancing." "It does seem a tricky manoeuvre to negotiate, sir. What if everything comes out at once, and it looks like you've got a bit of a face twitch issue, or a head bubble problem? It might trigger medical assistance." If it was easy, Norris, everyone would be doing it." "Of course, sir. And 3, sir?" 3, you misdirect the enemy. Look at the direct opposite of what you need to look at. So, for example, if you're going for a right hook, you look at your left hand, perhaps nod at it fast, and laugh, sir? Well, maybe just smirk. You don't want to overdo it. It would give the game away. So you would nod at your left arm, then move your gaze to your challenger's left jaw. At this point, you could briefly return to the smirk and crank it up just a suggestion of a notch. And then swing your right fist into the enemy's right ear. Wallop, out for the count. Cauliflower cheese for tea. "Cauliflower, sir? On account of his cauliflower ear, Norris." We all regarded Malty for a moment, letting his wisdom sink in. There was an awful lot to remember. The only thing for it was to give it a go, through the art of spar. Tizer Tompkins and Bunty tucked to the ring, while the rest of us boys stood agape and watched. What a spectacle it was! 2 would-be athletes touching gloves before disappearing into a blur of prancing, nodding, blinking, squinting and smirking. There was no actual contact made, but Malty assured us that contact was the least important aspect of training. "You'll be match fit for the tournament, boys. I guarantee it." Yes, that's right, the tournament. Malty had signed us up for the county boxing contest, which was due to take place in just 2 weeks. Oh, you have never seen a more focused bunch of inexperienced boy boxers. The next fortnight was burnt up in a blaze of training. When we weren't smirking, we were prancing. When we weren't prancing, we were nodding. And when we weren't nodding, we were shifting our gaze, meaningfully but subtly, so as not to give the game away. The big day galloped relentlessly towards us, and before we knew it, our bus was pulling up outside of the village hall, which stood before us like the Colosseum of ancient Rome. It was our Colosseum. We were glorious gladiators, lined up to battle our rivals, the Fortescue School for fellows. As they disembarked from their bus, we eyed them meaningfully, giving just a hint of a group smirk. Suddenly, Malty stiffened, and his eyes narrowed. We followed his stare, and beheld a man sporting a natty tracksuit staring back at Malty. The two exchanged but a few words. "Sebastian, may the best school win." "Malty, I'm sure we will." Without any further exchange or explanation, a clearly perturbed Malty hurried us inside. The atmosphere was electric, and after the mayor had finished the raffle and the ladies had finished the bingo, it was time for our champion, Bunty Basher Norris, to take to the ring. Clutterbuck wheeled out their star turn, a boy called Walter the Wallaby Harris. They touched gloves, and then it was seconds away, box. Walter got an early lead, backing away as far as possible from Bunty and resting against the ropes. Bunty took this opportunity to begin his first prance. He stood on his tiptoes, raising himself to his full height, gave a small nod, and then disaster struck. Bunty started to frolic. Seizing upon Bunty's schoolboy error, Walter bounced forward. And then the unthinkable happened. Walter nodded, smirked, and then he started to frolic too. The cleaner turned off the vacuum. The mayor stopped polishing his chain, and the caretaker stopped mopping up spilled drinks. In short, we all watched awestruck as the two boxers frolicked around the ring, blinking, smirking, nodding, and squinting at each other as if in an especially experimental avant-garde ballet. It was a frolic off. Contact was never made. It was a 0-0 draw, and both teams went home empty-handed. Literally. The Gilded Gloves remained under lock and key. It turned out that the man Malty had spoken to was his good friend and bitter rival, Sebastian Davenport Smythe, Clutterbuck's Sports and Classics Master. It was Bunty who asked the question on that long coach ride home. "Sir, how come Walter was using our special technique of prancing and smirking, sir?" "Because, Norris, in an unguarded moment, I lent Mr. Davenport Smythe my secret weapon, a book entitled Boxing, the Prancing Method." Were it not for Malty's unguarded moment, things might have turned out quite differently. Still, we consoled ourselves with the fact that, although we hadn't won, neither had we lost. We did, however, think it best to maintain a tactful silence on the matter. No. Hurrah for the Fortescue School for boys! Our reputation in the ring has been restored! If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, tell your friends, like me. Until next time, this is Lord Fortescue saying toodle pipsy and seconds out, prance, my YouTube chums!